Well, I only make like one video a year, so here it is. If you're hoping for an update on my Green Samurai with the 2.3 aerial motor in it, prepare for some disappointment, because this is not about my Green Samurai. And that's because I haven't worked on that one in like a year. This is about my new Samurai. Well, newish. Pulled this one out of a fence line about a year ago. 87 tin top. It was stock and even rustier than it is, believe it or not, when I pulled it out of said fence line. I threw some, well, I did a little bit of body work. The cabin's mostly sealed. And I threw some CJ5 leaves in it. I had to make my own purchase, and shackles. Shackles. Old shackle mount, new shackle mount. Just some tube and some polyurethane bushings. I painted them white so that they look terrible, which is amazing. Perch there for the front. Hasn't broke yet. Perch there for the back. Also hasn't broke yet. That is a terrible weld. I should fix that. And nice long shackles for the back. Also had to move those perches back a little bit. Built a couple of bumpers to and a bumper for the front. Old 5,000 or 6,000 pound Warren. Guy that sold it to me had no idea what it was. So it was like 150 bucks. Can't complain about that. This one still has a stock 1.3. Well, it has a Suzuki. It has a Suzuki 1.3 in it. The stock motor is blowing head gaskets, so I threw it out. Well, threw it out as in it's still in a shed. But the block's cracked, so really it's just a template for making oil pans in my mind now. Because I'm going to make some aluminum oil pans. I might sell some, we'll see. I want to make an aluminum oil pan for this for some very specific reasons. Namely that the stock one that I made leaks. And it leaks because it has a return for that bad boy in it. So this motor is a 1.3 out of a 2001 Swift, running on a Megasquirt 3. And given it was running on a standalone, it seemed a shame to not spice it up a little bit. Currently, this intercooler sucks. It doesn't do very good. So I'm gonna change it up. It's out of some Volkswagen. Just found it in a wrecking yard. Same with the turbo. It's out of a Saab. I just found it in a wrecking yard. It's like a GT25 or 28 or something like that. Dremel bearings, nothing special. I built my own downpipe. I built my own manifold, which is also terrible. I might have to fix that if and when it breaks. Built my own exhaust all the way back. All the intercooling piping I built. That is warmer than it should be because of my terrible intercooler. Right. Swift motor running on a Megasquirt 3. I'm currently doing wasted spark batch injection. So I didn't even need to touch the cam sensor. Cam sensor is not even hooked up to the Megasquirt. All the other sensors plumb in pretty easy enough. Biggest hurdle was making an oil pan that fit rear wheel drive and was able to use the Swift cam sensor. Or sorry, it's the Swift crank sensor. So I had to cut out the front of the Swift pan, cut out the front of the Samurai pan, and kind of graft them together. And even then, the cam or the crank sensor wasn't quite right. There was too much air gap for the Megasquirt to read it. Probably make a whole nother video on that. But basically, this is a teaser of my White Samurai that is not done yet, because I can never finish a project. And besides, finished isn't possible. If it's anything, it's a state of mind. This one's not finished. I have a lot of tuning to do. I have to seal up a bunch of oil leaks. Like I said, the oil return line on the oil pan is leaking. I might just build an aluminum pan. I tried one, but I warped the gasket surface because I didn't want to wreck a block by welding while it was hooked up to a block. But now that I have an old Samurai block, I can weld on that one because it's cracked. So I don't care because I'm never going to use it. Yeah, and this motor was so close to being bolt up. I was struggling with the ECU, hence why it's a Megasquirt. I think I fried it trying to hook up the wiring because I didn't really know what I was doing. I only kind of knew. And I just had terrible Haynes wiring diagrams to figure it out from. The 2.3, I had it like a cheat sheet from a guy that had a factory service manual, so that one went a lot better. But yeah, I think I fried the stock ECU, so it's on a Megasquirt. All the motor mounts bolted up, the clutch bolted up. I needed to change a water inlet pipe. I think it's the inlet pipe on the water pump, and that was bolt up, Samurai to Swift. The exhaust manifold wasn't bolt up, and it wouldn't have been. It would have hit a motor mount. Like the Swift exhaust hit the Samurai motor mount. And because my Samurai was a Canadian version, or a Canadian version, it wasn't the goofy electronic one. So there was no O2 sensors. So I had to run the Swift exhaust, but it didn't fit. So I figured, turbo. Turbo. The only other thing that did not bolt up, this water pipe right here, that is already hot. I only ran it for like 5 minutes. This water pipe here, Swift thermostat outlet, is on the back of the head rather than like right here-ish on the intake manifold. So I had to make my own thermostat housing. I did that out of aluminum. It was like my first real aluminum TIG project. It went not terrible. Maybe I'll put some pictures, or maybe I'll do it on another video. I gotta tear a bunch of this motor down to fix a bunch of leaks anyway. So I'll have it out in the near future and take a quick video on how I addressed it. Other people have sent it around the other side. I wanted to use a stock rad for the time being, so I put it around that side. Other than that, things on this motor were like almost meant to be. Like evap hoses with just the right length. Not that I'm using evap hoses because Megasquirt. Also, I wouldn't have had an engine light anyway, so who cares about evap hoses? Oil pan's almost bolted up. Just the sensor in the front that you gotta make an adjustment to the oil pan for. Other than that, it was a pretty straightforward swap. I'm running an electric fan. I don't know if the Samurai fan would bolt to this water pump, as that's what drives it. I didn't feel like figuring that out, so I'm just running a Taurus fan, because you need Ford parts to make something unreliable, and that way you can always blame the Ford parts. Anyway, I got stuff to do. I'll do more in-depth videos on this one and the green one if y'all want. The 10 people that watch my videos. I don't know why you would watch my videos. They're terrible. Yeah, there's a lot of work left to do on this one. I got a lot of body work. I got to finish the suspension, find some shocks. Actually do something with the steering because the steering geometry is terrible. And the shocks are too short, so they bottom out all the time. Ride quality is terrible. Steering is terrible. I was running 488 gears in it from a Grand Vitara. Yeah, a Grand Vitara front end in both ends here with a welded rear end before the turbo. And it kind of seemed screamy, but it did highway speeds. So when I put the turbo on, I put 373s back in. No bueno. Even with the turbo, it doesn't have enough jam. Well, at least the way I have it tuned, because I am not great at tuning things. I am just kind of learning because this is my first one. Or my first time tuning fuel injection. So maybe it's okay, maybe it's not. It felt kind of rowdy with 488 gears in it, and I think it was revving 4,000 at 110, which in my mind is acceptable because I don't often do 110. Also, the steering feels sketch as all get out at 110, so why would you do 110? So 3,600 RPM cruising, under vacuum is okay. Cruising with 373s and a turbo, I'm cruising under boost. I don't really like that. I have a feeling that's putting way more heat into stuff than I should. Again, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not a tuner. It's my first time turboing something and tuning fuel injection at the same time, because why not get in over your head? Anyway, this video is too long already for not having covered anything other than that I have a White Samurai that's a tin top and is a fuel injected turbo 1.3. Unfortunately, the single cam 1.3. People want way too much money for the dual cams, and I found this at a Black Friday deal from a wrecker. And it's turbo, so I don't know if I'm gonna blow it up anyways. So it's better to have something that I don't care if I blow it. Well, I care a little bit if I blow it up. Sentimental value. Yeah, my next steps are to throw those 488s back in, finish up the tuning. I'll probably do a couple of videos about tuning this Swift SOHC motor with a Megasquirt, because when I was doing it, I found absolutely nothing as far as information. So if you're interested in that, tune in. Hit all the buttons that people always say to hit. Or don't. I don't care. Thumbs down button. Encourage me to quit. Then my family will stop telling me to make videos. Anyway, that's all I got. I wonder if I can make a turbo whistle before I go. Yeah, stay. It's kind of there.